Architect J.D. Hall designed the Hamilton Turner Inn for the Lord of Lafayette Square, Mr. Samuel Pugh Hamilton, who would later become mayor of Savannah. He and his wife, Sarah, were known for lavish entertaining and desired a home that would meet all of their needs. They spared no cost in the design process. Their 17-room Second Empire mansion, dubbed the Grand Victorian Lady, was built in 1873. The home is situated on Lafayette Square in Savannah's historic district. Commonly known as the Mansion, was the very first house in Savannah to have electricity installed. Samuel Hamilton was also an avid collector of art, amassing major works from all around the world. Hamilton converted his estate into a private art museum, taking extreme precautions to safeguard his vast art collection. During the night, he would have a guard stationed on the roof with a weapon. The guard failed to come down from the roof one morning, and when someone went to check on him, he was discovered lying in a pool of blood. He'd been shot, and it was clear that he had been shot in the back of the head. The assailant was never apprehended, and the case remained unsolved. No one was willing to take the guard's place after his murder, so Hamilton took up the rifle and kept watch alone. Unfortunately, Hamilton became ill and died in 1899 after several months of maintaining guard on the rooftop. Dr. Francis Turner bought the house for himself and his family in 1915. The Turners resided there until 1926, when they decided to turn it into a boarding house. The mansion was thereafter occupied by Marine Hospital nurses for the next 2 years, until Dr. Turner and his family returned in 1940. Dr. Turner resumed his medical practice in the basement, even doing autopsies in the same room where he examined his patients. The Turners also had a reputation for throwing extravagant parties. During the festivities, their children were kept upstairs, where they would play with the billiard table balls. Discontent with this arrangement, the children accidentally rolled billiard balls down the stairs one night so they could collect them and see what the adults were doing. However, one of the small girls ventured too close to the top step and died as she tumbled down the stairs. Once the night has come, her ghost is said to continue rolling billiard balls throughout the inn. In 1965, the mansion was sold again, this time to the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. The intention was to demolish the mansion and replace it with a playground for a nearby school. The Savannah Historic Foundation intervened after learning of the plans and preserved the historic mansion. Gunshots rang out from the kitchen in 1969, with no explanation. The house was empty at the time. Shortly after this bizarre occurrence, the Hamilton Turner home was reopened as an apartment complex. The mansion changed hands several times over the years until Charlie and Sue Strickland bought it from Nancy Hillis in 1997, and renamed it the Hamilton Turner Inn. If you recognize the Hamilton Turner Mansion at 330 Abercorn Street, it's because you've seen it before. The Hamilton Turner house was said to be the inspiration for Walt Disney's Haunted Mansion, based on Harper Goff's original ideas from the 1950s. The Haunted Mansion story is understandable, given the house's French Gothic style and natural creepiness. According to a CNN report, Walt Disney himself sketched the Hamilton Turner Mansion from a seat in front of it. Tim Nealon describes his own creepy encounter at the Hamilton Turner Inn. "I spent a night at the Hamilton Turner Inn almost 6 years ago. I wasn't looking for ghosts, all I wanted to do was stay. I'd heard the accommodations were amazing, so I decided to treat myself to a night there. The sounds of footsteps walking by my bed awoke me at 2 a.m. They were very clear and unmistakable. It sounded like someone was walking right towards me, laying in bed. It can be very unnerving to experience this. The room was very dark and I couldn't tell if it was an actual person, or something else. I laid in bed for a few seconds and the footsteps stopped." There is also reportedly a cigar-smoking ghost that stays on the roof. Many have reported strange occurrences there, including the strong smell of cigar smoke when nobody was up there. In 1969, while he was 17 years old and working as an airplane mechanic, stationed at Hunter Army Airfield, a man named Brent Berry claims to have seen paranormal activity. He'd gone to Savannah one night but was broke, so he decided to sleep in the mansion, which was vacant at the time. What he noticed sent shivers down his spine and raised goosebumps on his skin. He went on to say, The first floor was filthy, with broken glass and debris scattered around, so I proceeded upstairs to the second floor, where things were a little better, but I still didn't feel comfortable. I walked to the third floor and decided that it would be a fine location to sleep, so I selected a corner in one of the apartments and laid down. But it wasn't long before he started hearing noises in the mansion, and the real terror began to set in. I wasn't concerned at first because it was an old property with plenty of creaking and banging noises. However, during that night or early the next morning, I began to hear a variety of sounds, including bumping and slow squeaking. The noises downstairs seemed to be increasing closer to me, as if they were coming from the stairwell. It sounded like someone was trying to sneak up the stairs slowly and softly. I was becoming a little concerned at this point. I jumped up, and by now I had a board in my hand, thinking that I might have to use it to protect myself, stranded with nowhere else to go except the tiny stairwell that led up to a small chamber on the top of the home. There was very little space in this small room, and the door leading out was missing, so I walked out on the roof. The moon was bright, so I stood there watching and waiting, the board slung over my shoulder, ready to swing if necessary. So there I am, a drunk Denver kid on the roof of a Victorian mansion in Savannah in the middle of the night, holding a club. He waited for a long time but no one came out, which created other issues about who he anticipated to see. I knew I wouldn't be able to leave until daylight, so I just sat there till daybreak. That night, I didn't get any sleep. The Hamilton Turner Inn is more than just ghost stories, it has been a bed and breakfast since 1997. The mansion is currently maintained by the historic Savannah Foundation and the present owners. Dubbed the new gem on Lafayette Square by Southern Living magazine, it has established itself as one of Savannah's top historic inns. Rachel Ray of the Food Network channel called it a glorious house with glorious food. If you would like more information, or want to visit, we have added their link below.